Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, my name is Sarah. Today, we're going to be learning how to say different types of jobs in Spanish. I thought it would be kind of fun to teach jobs through some of the experiences that I've had because I have not always been a teacher. I have worked as a lifeguard, I have worked fast food, just to name a few as I was getting started. I've been working since I was old enough to work. I started working when I was 16. And I've always had at least 2 jobs, even while I was at school or even now in my career, I have always had multiple jobs. So I'm going to share with you guys the jobs that I have had that you might not expect and how to say them in Spanish. All right, let's get started with the lesson. All right, so one of the very first jobs I had was as a lifeguard, una salvavidas. And so in Spanish, we say salvavidas. I had a few jobs as a lifeguard. When I was 16, I worked at an indoor pool, la piscina interior, an indoor pool, la piscina interior. And while I was doing this, I also worked fast food. I like to say that I was a cashier, una cajera, but the reality is that I spent a lot of time outside of the restaurant in a giant ice cream cone suit for Dairy Queen. And that was my job. I was not very good at taking orders inside and running the cashier. Technically, my title was a cashier. So technically, I was una cajera, but realistically, I was outside in an ice cream suit in 110-degree weather in July in Southern California. So those were my first 2 jobs that I had. After that, I worked at that indoor pool for a little while, and then at a different pool at a gym that was open year-round at actually a YMCA gym. So I worked as a lifeguard at a gimnasio. So I worked as a lifeguard there at the gym, el gimnasio. Gym, again, in Spanish, we say el gimnasio. Shortly after that, I had a different job. I took a summer job at a camp in Pennsylvania when I was 17. I have always had a desire to travel and experience new things. So I thought I'll apply for a job at the summer camp and see what happens. And I got a job at one in Pennsylvania as a lifeguard, of course, again, en una salvavidas otra vez. And so I got on a plane and I flew to Pennsylvania for the summer to work as a lifeguard there at this camp, which was a camp for special needs of all ages. I worked at that camp for the summer and I met one of my best friends over there who I have stayed in contact with on and off throughout the years, and we've actually flown back and forth to see each other. I spent my 21st birthday with her in New York City. I flew back there to see her and then she flew out here to see me in San Diego. So we've been in touch over the years, and that's the cool thing about experiences like that is you get the work experience, of course, but the people that you meet along the way. And we almost forgot, we need to say this in Spanish. El campamento de verano is summer camp. El campamento de verano. I came back and I had quit my other job before I went over there. So I came back and I didn't have a job. I was in school though. I started working on my college courses, which actually I started one semester before I went there because I had graduated. So I rewind here a little bit. I graduated in high school in January 2010, and then I started college right after. So I was 17 when I started college, and then I went to Pennsylvania to work at the summer camp, and then I came back and I got a job in the theater because at the time that's what I was majoring in college. And I worked as a theatrical technician assistant. It sounds fancy, and I did learn some cool things in there. Like I learned how to sew, coser, and I learned more about theater and how it is ran. But much like lifeguarding, I also spent a lot of time cleaning. So yes, I've had all these jobs with these cool names, but the reality is I spent a lot of time cleaning floors and locker rooms and pools, and really the jobs I've had really are not glamorous at all. So I worked as a theatrical technician assistant, un asistente técnico de teatro. Like I mentioned, I did do a lot of cleaning, but I also helped with the events, the theater, the shows, and the costuming, which was my favorite part of the job, making costumes and learning how to sew. I also took a job as una animadora. I was an entertainer at children's birthday parties. So, you know, like those clowns with all the makeup and the balloon animals and the people in the costumes. I did that for a little while. So Dairy Queen prepared me for that with that ice cream suit. I was ready to go be a birthday performer now. So I did that for a little while. And I was mainly these two jobs until I transferred from community college to San Diego State for my bachelor's degree, which I then did in liberal studies. I transitioned from theater, but I did complete my associate's degree in theater and then moved on to San Diego State, where I got a bachelor's degree in liberal studies. I got to San Diego State and I wanted to do the work study thing again. So I looked for jobs doing that, and maybe a little aggressively, you might say, I called the theater department and I asked them if they had any job openings, and their response was an immediate no. And then I started asking them questions about what types of positions they have open when they are looking for employees in the theater, like, oh, do you have a theatrical technician assistant who does a little bit of everything? Or do you have people specifically who work in costuming, or specifically who do this and who do that? And then he said, oh, you know what? Come in and meet with me. We might have a job opening for you. So I went in and I met with him. I was on campus when I called. So I walked over there. I sat down and he said, who are you? So this was my interview, guys. This is what he said to me. I was like 19 at the time, and he just looks at me and says, who are you? To which I responded, I just introduced myself. I said, you know, my name is Sarah. I used to work at Mount San Jacinto College before I transferred down here, and I was a theatrical technician assistant over there, and this was my boss, and this is what I did. And then it turned out he actually knew who I worked for. They went to school together. So you really never know, you never know who you're going to run into in the future and who they're going to know and what connections are going to help you out, or maybe the opposite, because everything is really intertwined. And for me, it ended up working out pretty well because I got hired on the spot for a job that I was told less than an hour ago didn't exist. So persistence and asking the right questions, that's how I got that job. Anyway, let's get back with the Spanish vocabulary lesson. So that job that I got over there was called a front of house manager. Basically, I organized the front of the theater. I let people in, I took tickets, I did seating, delegated responsibilities to ushers, things of that nature. And this job in Spanish, I would say for this position, that I was encarga del frente del teatro, that I was in charge of the front of the house for the theater. And at the same time as this, because this was just a part-time job when there were shows going on, so a few weekends, semester, and that was about it. So I had another job. While I was doing this, I also worked as a reading tutor. It was an on-campus program for work study, but they sent me to a local elementary school into a bilingual classroom. I got to work with kids and teaching reading, and also practice my Spanish because I was in a bilingual classroom. I was una tutora de lectura, and this was my job while I was at San Diego State. I did this for a little while, and then I got a different job, and this job I loved. To this day, one of my favorite jobs that I have ever had is that I worked at Balboa Park in San Diego, and this was through my university, through San Diego State. I got to work at Balboa Park. If you haven't heard of it before, look it up. If you ever visit California and visit San Diego, go to Balboa Park. It is a collection of museums, and they have also the San Diego Zoo is right next door. And I love this job so much, you guys, because every week they sent me to a different museum. So I basically got paid to go to museums and to help the kids that were in those groups. They had classrooms inside of these museums. And also I got to learn about all of these cool different topics. They have museums about airplanes, they have museums about photography, about history, about so many different things. And it was just one of the best experiences that I've had, and I got paid to do it. So it was great. So I was basically a teacher's assistant, but in museums. I was una asistente de maestro. or maestra. I was with a different teacher in a different museum and sometimes the zoo every week. I did this for a while. I did this for, I think, like a year and a half. While I was doing this, I got another job as a lifeguard near where I was living. It was at a swim and racket club, at an outdoor pool, basically another gym. I had another lifeguarding job, and I also taught swim lessons. Una maestra de natación, a swim teacher. And while I was doing this, I also at the same place because I did like lifeguarding, and even though I had to be there at like 5 a.m. to take the pool covers off, there's an outdoor pool in San Diego. It never really gets very cold. So people go swimming year round in the outdoor heated pool. I like doing this, but at that point in my life, I wanted to work with children. And so I wanted to get experience doing that, and they had a childcare facility there. So I went over to the childcare director and just basically asked if I could work there too. And they said that I could. So I started doing that as well. I worked in the childcare in El Cuidado de los Niños, is a childcare, El Cuidado de los Niños. And I did that while I was doing the lifeguarding, and while I was working at Balboa Park, I did that as well. And then about like a year later, I think I was in San Diego for about 2 years going to school. And close to the end of my bachelor's degree, I moved back up to Riverside County. And over there, I needed to get another job because I was moving back up there. So I got another job as a tutor in math and English. So I was a tutora de matemáticas e inglés. It was for basically low-income schools, so Title I schools, we call them. And I went to people's houses, to libraries. This is with Spanish and English-speaking families. So this was one of my first real experiences using my Spanish in the workplace. Because, you guys, this is what I know what you're going through, learning a second language. I was terrified, but I had to call people in Spanish. I had to talk to parents and leave voicemails and do all of that in Spanish to communicate with these families. And that's a part of the reason that I got the job, is because there were so many families who did not speak English who needed these services. It was terrifying, and I grew so much as a professional and just as a person. So after I moved back up, I got another job. I remember I warned you guys in the beginning, I had a lot of jobs. So I got another job while I was doing this because it was nice, but I needed more work. All my jobs were part-time, so I had to work multiple of them in order to make enough money to pay my bills. So I got another job as an AVID tutor in a school. So AVID, if you're not familiar with it, it's Advanced Via Individual Determination. And I did this at a local middle school. So basically it's like a teacher's assistant again. In asistente de maestra. I did this until I finished my bachelor's degree. So about half a year or so. Once I finished my bachelor's degree, I kept doing the tutoring job. Then I got a job as a substitute teacher instead of AVID tutor because it pays more. I did that in 4 different districts because I wanted to make sure that I always had work every single day. So I was in 4 different districts. I was a substitute teacher in all of those, in every grade, in every subject, in everything imaginable. I've been a kindergarten teacher, a middle school teacher, high school teacher, special ed, PE, construction, everything, anything and everything. I did pretty much all of it. So a substitute teacher, we call that una sustituta. So it's specifically like teacher, una maestra sustituta. And that's what I did for that period. So after I graduated from college in December of 2014 and just worked for that spring semester. And then in the fall, then I went to the University of California, Riverside to get my teaching credential. And I still did the substitute teaching when I could while I was there. And also continued to do tutoring. And then at some point during that time, I started my own tutoring business. I started that business while I was in college, and I've done it over the last 5 years or so. Anyway, so continuing, I did substitute teaching. I did my teaching credential, and then I got my first teaching job in kindergarten. So remember when I said I thought I wanted to work with small children? I figured that while I was doing my credential that was not even like in the realm of possibilities for me, but for whatever reason accepted a job teaching kindergarten for my first teaching job, which I did for 1 month. And that was it. It was not right for me. It was not right for them. It was not good for anyone. I left after a month. And by the way, a kindergarten teacher in Spanish, we say la maestra de jardín de infancia. La maestra de jardín de infancia. So after that, I got a job teaching high school English to English learners. And this was the very first class in learning English. So my students did not speak any English at all. When they came in from Mexico and Guatemala, I had to speak to them pretty much entirely in Spanish. So again, another opportunity where my Spanish really grew. I was una maestra de inglés, and I did this for that school year. And then I got a different job that one was about an hour commute for me. And I got a different job that was closer to my home. And I loved this job. I was a literacy specialist, especialista en alfabetización. And I did this high school level in a charter school. It was a great experience, mainly because they just said, like, here, we need a literacy specialist. We need these kids to learn how to read, figure out how to do it. Those are the kind of jobs that I really thrive in, is where they just say, this is what we need done, do it. So I did this, and it was a great experience. But then I got another offer for a job teaching adults in jail, actually. And I took this job because I wanted that experience and to work in adult education for the incarcerated. And this is la educación de adultos encarcelados. I loved this job too, because it was very similar to the previous job that I had, where they basically just said, here, this is the position, this is what we need done, get these results. Here are some materials and some things that we use. Go for it, figure out a way to do it that works. It was great. So I did this, I worked in the jail, and then I got a job teaching where I am now, which is that actually I am a high school math teacher. So I am una maestra de matemáticas. I teach Spanish to you guys online, and then during the day when I go to work, I am a math teacher. So I do a little bit of everything. All right, so if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Ciao!